Okay, everybody, welcome to homerecordingmadeeasy.com and here on my YouTube channel. And in this video, this is the next video in the series of my live stream setup for doing live performances in my studio to broadcast live over the internet. Last couple of videos, which will be linked below, we talked about Ableton, how I'm using Ableton Live, some of the ways to set up Ableton Live to start using running backing tracks. Now, in this video, I want to show you quickly the lighting program. And one of the reasons why I'm using Ableton, as I said in the last video, was I want to be able to automate my lighting. So it kind of works in flow with the music. As the performer, I'm not going to have a light engineer or anything like that. I want to be able to set it and forget it from song to song. So the software that I'm using, which I have on the screen here, is called Lightkey. Now, there's many lighting software programs on the market. You can check out whatever you want. I've done tons of research on it, and what I see is most people that are doing this on a little more upscale professional level tend to use Lightkey, although there are some other things that you can use. But I want to show you Lightkey briefly and show you how easy it is kind of to use. And this is why I picked it, because I have no experience in lighting, zero. So this is something that I thought was really easy. Lightkey is something that's a subscription-based program. It's not something you buy in full. So depending on the level of lights and the amount of DMX control that you need, and you can search on YouTube all about DMX and how many channels and all of that. We may do some other videos where I explain that in more depth, but not in this video. Will depend on how much the subscription is. It's a yearly subscription. So it is $69 a year, which gives you 256 channels of DMX control, which basically means each one of your lights will have a certain amount of channels that it takes up for different features in that particular light. I only have 5 LED Parcan lights, which I'm going to show you in a bit when we get to the demonstration. Each one of those lights only has up to 8 channel mode. So 8 times 5 is 40. So I only require 40 channels of DMX control, at least at this point. And that's pretty good for what I'm doing, at least to get started. So I have up to 256. So that's $70 a year, but you can search Google. I'll put the link in the description box below if you want to check out Lightkey. But when you open Lightkey, here's the screen that you see. And I want to show you quickly how you can just build a project real quick. And I'm going to show you the project I've already built. And then I'm going to show you how it integrates with Ableton and do a little demonstration. So when you open up Lightkey, you can check out, here's my most recent projects, Band Lights 1. Here's a demo, and here's an effects showcase that they can show you what program is capable of doing. And again, there's tons of videos on YouTube on how to use this in depth. And I'm, again, brand new here. So this is a very beginner's thing. I just had this thing maybe 2 or 3 days. I'm just starting to use it. So if you click on new project, the first thing it's going to do is ask you what project you want. And I'm going to go testing for this particular demonstration. I'm going to put it on my desktop. I'm going to hit save. And now the thing it's going to ask you next is what interface are you using? Now, in order to control lighting DMX, you need to have some kind of a DMX interface. And the interface that I'm using, let me grab it. Oops, if I don't drop it, I'll grab it over here. Hopefully I'm going to be able to get it in the camera. This is the Entech DMX USB Pro. Let me try to put this on the camera so you can see it. I'll put the link in the description box below. You could buy this at Sweetwater, at Amazon, whatever. This is a little simple DMX in on one side, USB on the other, which goes to your computer. And this, see the little light flashing because my lights are hooked up right now. This is what talks to the computer, enables you to control things. So you need some sort of a DMX interface, unless you have, and again, there's other brands, but doing research, this is the brand that everyone tends to use, most people. This is about 170 bucks. They make a cheaper one for about $70, but there is a difference between the two. It looks the same, but it's blue. And you can use that one. This one's a little bit more upscale. It's got a little bit more technology inside of the box, so you don't have any delay or latency or any lagging. So I see a lot of people using it. I figure I want to buy this one, so I'm doing that. So you want to see here, when you get to this screen, it's going to say, what USB are you using? I'm using the Entech USB Pro device, so I click that and then hit next. And now it's going to ask me for my fixtures and what lights do I have. And they have a huge library here of just hundreds and hundreds of lights by different manufacturers. So what you want to do is you want to pick the lighting that you have. I have very cheap Charvet, I think they call it, or I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. CHUVET, is that how you spell it? how do you spell it? C-A, I should know this. Oh, here it is, A-U-V-E-T. Okay. And then you got the models of the lights that you have. I have very inexpensive, again, being new, not knowing much about this. I'm starting off cheap. I bought 5, and I'll put them up. Maybe you'll see it over my shoulder here in a second. They're not on right now, but 5 slim par cans, RGBA, which gives me the amber as well. And so we're going to scroll through here. I think I got to widen this so I could see which ones I have. Let's try to, oh, how come it doesn't? I can usually see the whole name here. For some reason, I'm not able to see the whole name. Let's see if I could stretch this out a little bit and find out. Oh, here it is. Maybe that's why. There we go. Okay, so I have the Slim Par RGBAs. Where are they? Slim Pars. Par. Where is it? I know I just saw. Oh, here it is. 64. RGBA. I have 5 of those. Okay. So you would go through, find your different lights, and then you have this big graph up here. And as you can see, it's a little grayed out. You might not be able to see it too well, but you have channel 1 all the way through channel 256 down here on this grid. And that's all available to me. From 257 on, it's all grayed out. And that's because I only have a license with LightKey to do up to 256 channels, as I said. But you can go to 512, you can go to 1,000, you can go to 2,000 channels if you have this huge light rig. But for what we're doing, 256, I'd be surprised if I ever ran out of that. So you take your you take the brand, your light here, and you just left click and drag it onto the first channel. You can see it up here. It's going to take channels 1 through 8. Okay. And this is my thing. And now you can run this in 2 modes, these particular lights. You can run it in 4-channel mode, where it only takes up 4 channels, which is going to give you less features, or 8 channels. 8 channels will have more things you can do with the light. So I'm going to use all 8 channels. Now, again, you may have a light. If you have a light that has a moving head or, tilts and spins, you may have 30 channels taken up for just one light fixture. It really depends on your lights. Mine are really simple, as I said. And that's going to ask you, where do you want to start? I'm going to start from number 1 because I have my lights across the top of a truss. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to start at light 1. The name of the light, you can name it. I'm just going to name it P for par 1. And you can say, how many lights do you have? I have 5, so I can go, oops, excuse me, down here. I'm going to leave this at 1. I have 1 of that light. And then how many fixtures am I going to patch together consecutively? 2, 3, 4, 5. And as you can see up here, you can see it kind of put par can number 2 is going to start from channel 9 and channel 16. Par can number 3 is going to start from 17 to 24. Par number 4 is going to start from 25 to 32. And number 5, excuse me. Number 5 will go from 33 to 40. So every 8 channels, it's going to do that automatically. Okay. Now, if I just wanted to put this and leave this at, whoops, how do I do that? If I just wanted to do one at a time, I can say patch. Now here's my first par can. Now, if I have a different light, I can drag that onto channel 9 because that's where the next light would start, because this one takes up 8 channels. Does that make sense? I hope so. Hope I'm explaining this okay. Again, I'm brand new to this, but I have 5 of the same lights. I'm going to take the same. I'm going to drag it over, start it on channel 9. Okay. And then I'm going to take it again, start on channel 17. That's my 3rd one. And then my 4th one will go under here. Channel 25. Patch. And then I have one more. I have 5 of these. Okay. Why 5? I don't know, because I figured it would be bright enough to light up my little studio. Again, being new to lighting. Those lights were like $130 a piece, which are really inexpensive, and it came with the clamps and everything to hook up to the truss rod, and it came with a 10-foot DMX cable. So for $138, I got the cable, the clamp, and the light. Not too bad. And they're kind of daisy chained together. That's exactly what they are. One light has it looks like an XLR cable, but for people that are new to lighting, it's not an XLR cable. It looks just like when it's a DMX cable. You don't want to use traditional XLRs for DMX. It won't work properly. So make sure if you get DMX cables, they look exactly the same. You want to label them as such. And what you basically do, you have an input and an output on each light. You plug the DMX cable from your interface that I showed you into the input of the first light. The output of that light goes to the input of the second light. The output goes to the input of the third light, so on and so on. On the light itself, it has a little menu that you're going to change the channels. So you're going to set up your DMX and every light's going to be different. I'm not going to show you that in this video. But for the first light, I made sure that my DMX started on channel 1. When I went to my second light, you got to make sure it starts on channel 9. Okay, so you got to set the lights up to match this grid. It's really simple, and I can do a video on that if you want to. Just leave comments below. But anyway, once you get your 5 lights here, you just hit next. And now it's going to give you, I'm going to shrink this down a little bit, so I don't like when it goes full screen, to be honest. This is what I really bought this program for. And you can see over my shoulder now the lights are on. The home screen, I think, is all blue on these particular lights when you first turn them on. This gives you the opportunity to build a visual representation of what your light rig looks like. So you can do all of this without even having the lights on. You could do this all on the screen. Let me show you. So over here, I just have a truss. We have this little diagram here. I'm going to click this truss and drag it on here. And this is my truss. This is what my truss looks like. I just have a traditional 2 stands with a big light truss. But if you have a complicated lighting scheme, if you're doing a church or an indoor venue, you may have trusses in all different places of your building. You can build this exactly like this. So here's par 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can just take this, and my par 1 starts on my right-hand side. Okay. And then I have par 2. I could just evenly space these out because that's kind of how it looks. Par 3, par 4, par 5. Okay, so that's what it looks like. That's physically what it looks like in the room, and that's how you want to do this. So if you don't have the lights in the room, you can do all of this on the computer, and I'll show you. You don't even need to have the lights in your physical space while you're doing this. You could build this on a laptop in another venue, another site, and then bring this file to your gig, so you build that. You can also, and again, they have all kinds of different curved trusses that you can have. If you have a circle truss in the ceiling, you basically want to build exactly what you have on your stage. You even have musicians that if you want to put a musician on the stage. So again, you can kind of see there's your lead singer. If you had a drummer, here's your drummer in the back. Your lead singer's in the front. You can do stuff like this. You could put your musicians all over the place and see how the lights will cover the musicians. Very intuitive, very easy. Everything is drag and drop. But for now, we're going to keep it simple. So I have my 5 lights. So now once I build my icons, build your preview, drag the icons so they match the physical locations of your fixtures. Here's what we have. Hit next. Now it's going to ask you if you want to group the fixtures. So let's say you have, in this case, I'm going to group them. I don't want them to be all one group because I may want to have certain lights doing different things at the same time. So for example, what I did, and I'm going to show you in a second, is I took par 5 and par 1, holding down my shift key and clicking. I made that a group. Okay. Then I did par 4 and par 2 as a group. And then the one right in the center of the stage over the lead singer is a third group. Okay. So now I have 3 groups of lights. So I'm going to hit next. Now it's going to ask you to set the beam direction, the light beam direction of your lights. Now you may have lights that have spinning heads. You may have lights that tilt up and down. You want to see how is the lights being pointed into the stage. So what you're going to do is on the first one, it's not straight up and down. I have mine coming in a little bit towards the center of the stage. So this is the beam direction. It's on the edge. You may be able to see it in the other video. I have the iPhone rolling. I'll have some B-roll. You may or may not see it. But as you see, well, I'll put this up because as you see, I clicked on par 5 and now right now only the 5th light is lit. Everything else is black. That light is physically angled towards the center, towards the lead singer. Okay, so that's that. This next one here, if I click set, it's going to turn on the second one and everything else blacks out. Again, I have it that one's kind of straight up and down to be honest. So I'm going to leave that alone. The one in the center, that one again is straight up and down. Par 2, again, it's straight up and down. And then par 1, I have it tilted towards the center. Okay. And you'll see why this is important in a second. So now I've set all of the beams and the way they're being moved. Okay, hit next. It says that's it. Have fun creating magic light shows with Light Key. Cool, go. So now, see the one thing I've noticed is when I set the beams, see how it set these towards the tilting in, that's not how I set them. See, it's not quite accurate. I find that I have to go back and hit the edit button up here, come back and redo these. So I end up redoing, every time I have to do this. So I click on this little drop down, and I think you can reset the beam. Yeah, set beam direction. And even though it's the way it's supposed to be, I have to go back through it again. I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's a glitch in the program, but I always find myself having, see, I didn't do that. This should be straight up and down. And this is a group now, so that means this one should be straight up and down. And it is. This one, see, I didn't do that. It should be straight up and down. So for some reason it does that. Maybe because I'm doing something incorrectly. I don't know. But I always find that I have to go back the first time and reset everything. And then once I do this again, oops. Come on. Then it seems fine. So I just hit done. Let's see. Yeah, see, now I still got this one on the right-hand side is not right. I don't know why that is. Again, a couple of times I have to go back and fix this. Maybe, like I said, I'll have to contact support. I must be doing something. Oh, you know what it is? It's probably because I grouped it with the outside light. And when you group them, they're all going to go in the same direction. So I should probably set the beam first, and then that's exactly what it is. So par 5 and par 1 are going in the same direction. Why? Because they're in a group. So you should set the direction first and then group them. Nevertheless, you get the idea. So right now they're all blue, as you can see in the B-roll camera, the 5 phone. Now from here, this is what my stage looks like. Now I want to go ahead and I want to do what's called presets. And I'm going to set some presets to make the lights do whatever I want. Okay, so I'm just going to do a couple, and then we're going to close this project. I'm going to show you one that I've already done so you can see it. Okay, so let's start up here. The first thing I'm going to do, and you can do this a bunch of different ways, but as you can see, par 5 and par 1 are selected. If I go over to par 4 and par 2, they're a group, and then par 3 is by itself. So what I like to do, what I've learned to do, is I'm going to have a group for each one of these, a group folder for this for the outside lights, the 2 inner ones, and I'm going to have a third group for the center. So the first thing I'm going to do is highlight par 5 and par 1. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to right click in this gray box, and I'm going to say new group. And that new group is going to be par 1/5. And I'll show you why in a minute. Then I'm going to set up another group, 2 and 4. Right click, new group, par 2/4. And then I'm going to set the third group is par 3. Okay. Par 3. Okay. Now, in each one of these groups, I can have different presets and I can have the lights do different things. I'll just show you one. So let's say for excuse me, we're going to put a preset now in each one of these folders. We're going to create what's called the preset. You do that by highlighting the group or the folder, click preset, and now we have a preset. Right now, par 1 and 5 is just blue. But let's say I want to change that. So I come down here, par 1 and 5 is selected. The first thing I'm going to do is come down here. You have a dimmer section, a color wheel, and some other attributes that you can use. First I'm going to take the dimmer and turn them up. And then I'm going to, let's say, pick a color. Let's just say purple. And I can use this color wheel to change the color, the brightness of the color, the saturation. Okay, you have this nice color wheel here. So and you can see how the light is going to kind of shine on the stage. Okay. Now let's say I like that. And I say, okay, I like that. I'm in design view. I kind of like that. And I'm going to say, okay, that's good. And that's our blue color. I can just hold my mouse in there and I could change, oops. I could change that to say, purple/blue as one preset, for example. And what you do is you go through, now when I go back there, I have blue on those 3 and purple on the 2 outer ones. That's the preset that I chose. Okay. So now what I do is you can go through and you can create different presets for each grouping of lights that you have. Okay. So if I wanted to just put a preset here, I select par 3. We're gonna, let's see, gonna turn off these for pars 1 and 2. We're just gonna work on par 3. Okay. We're gonna do a preset. Okay, this is just for par 3, okay? And I'm gonna turn up par 3 and I'm gonna choose green, okay? And then I can just say done. Now, if I wanna change the name of that, I could change the name of that to, just by holding my mouse in here. Oops. Oh, I hit edit, sorry. And I could just call this green, whatever you want to do, okay? So let me close this project quickly. Let me show you one that I've already kind of created. So basically you could go in, you can easily set up your lights and you can easily start creating presets in different kinds of looks. There's all kinds of different things you could do with strobes and color effects and lighting effects. I'm not going to show you all that today just because I'm still learning and I really don't know much about that. But if I were to close this, okay, and now I'm going to open up my one that I've been working on. Again, I don't like when it goes full screen on me. Come on, there we go. Shrink it down. As you can see, I've created a bunch of different colors, schemes, and whatnot here. Okay, so for example, let's see, par 1 and 5 is 100% white, and you can see it over my shoulder. Orange, just the outer lights. Okay. If I wanted, I even created one called all pars. I created a group for all of them together. So if I want to put them all on green, there we go. They're all green. All orange, all yellow. If I wanted, you know, different combinations of things, I can do that as well. There's just the center one. Okay. Changing all the colors. Okay. And the lights work with it. So they're through the interface, they're controlling the lights. Now you may say, that's all right. That's great, Dave. Why is that all important? Okay, well, I'm going to show you in a second now. Okay, so once you've created all your lighting schemes, you also have, this is in design mode down here. We're in design mode. But over here, we have what's called live mode. And in live mode is where you have the opportunity to make scenes or cues or buttons that you're going to use in Ableton. Let me show you what I mean. So if I click on all white here, well, I got to turn off this one, right? How do I turn that off? Okay, just got to click out of there. So now I'm in live mode. I've created all of these buttons. So here's all white, all my white lights, or all orange, all red. Now I have some combinations of colors, orange, green, and blue. Now you say, well, how did you do that? I'm going to show you how to do that now. So I'm going to create a button where now I can take all my presets and I can just drag them into a single cue or a single scene. So I can have multiple lights doing different colors at the same time, such as what you see on the screen right now. Okay, let me show you how to do that. In the live mode, I'm going to come under edit and you can see we're in like this grid thing. I'm going to click add a new button. Okay, you can drag this anywhere you want on your grid. Okay, now in here, I'm going to right click and I'm going to say get info, show me the contents. Right now, there are no presets in here. Okay, right now. So I'm going to drag some presets in here. So let's say, first I got to do this. First I got to turn off the ones that I just had on. That's the other thing too. I got to turn all these off before we create a preset. So you want to turn them off so everything is blacked out. Now I'm going to come to edit. Going to go into queue, get info, contents. I'm going to drag in some presets. So let's say on pars 1 and 5, the 2 outer lights, I want those to be yellow. So I'm just going to left click and drag yellow. Now you can see those are yellow. And let's say on par cans 2 and 4, the inner ones, I want those to be, you know, what's a good color that matches with yellow? You can say, okay, maybe I want blue, for example. And then maybe on the third par can, the one in the center on the lead singer, maybe I want that one to be more white. So it kind of highlights her a little different. Something like that. Click done. You can hold your mouse in here. Oh, yeah, you can name it whatever you want. So I can call it yellow, blue, white. Or whatever, doesn't matter. Once it's done, hit the done button. Now I have a button. You could turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it off, go to another one, turn it off, go to another one, okay? So once you're set up in this particular stage, okay, now I'm just gonna minimize this. Now I gotta make sure I shut all the lights off, and I did, I minimized it. Now how is this important in Ableton? Well, here's an Ableton session with one song that from the last video. Remember, every song has its own Ableton project. And you can control the lights via MIDI, which is what I've done down here. So what you do is you create a MIDI track, okay? And the way you do that in Ableton come up to create, insert a MIDI track, and here's one down here, okay? The input, you're gonna change to no input. The output, you're gonna change to light key. You see it says light key input, okay? And then for the channel, you're gonna put channel 16. It's always channel 16, I guess, in Ableton. That's the channel for MIDI control, I guess. And so now I have another thing down here, okay, another MIDI thing. And now if you look over here in my browser, under user library, there is a folder called Light Key Live Triggers, because again, Light Key automatically integrates with this. I didn't have to do anything, it just sees it. Open it up. I have my project Band Lights 1, open it up. It's gonna be under the control panel folder, and here is all of those scenes all those buttons that I created here. All these buttons that are now turned off in the bottom of this Light Key project show up right here. So you say, well, how do you use this? Well, you can see what I did here. You just take them and drag and drop them. So let's say I'm at the beginning of the song and I want to play back the song. And watch, you'll see what happens. Intro. The lights are going to change. 2, 3, 4. Okay. Expand this a little so you can see it better. Here comes a change. Verse. Pretty cool, right? So that's what you can do. You can go through your entire song, and where you want the lighting changes or the cues to happen, you just drag them right onto a timeline, like a plugin or like any MIDI note. Okay, and you can see they're all labeled. Okay, and that is the power of using Ableton in Arrangement View, as we talked in the last video, being able to do things like this. Now you can have multiple MIDI tracks where you can have different lighting things going on at the same time. Now I only have a set of par cans, the 5 cans that you can see over my shoulder, right? But let's say you had par cans as one set of lights, and let's say you had LED bars or moving lights or whatever. You can have one MIDI track for just your par cans. You can have another MIDI track with your different types of lights. So let's say where you have your par cans shining one color at the same time, you can have your second set of lights doing something completely different. You can add as many MIDI tracks as you want, okay? And here it is right here. And you can actually go in and thought I named this already. Maybe I didn't, but you can rename this lighting, lights, okay? And then you can have one here called lights 2 or moving headlights or whatever you want to do. So you can have as many MIDI tracks as you want depending on how many lights you have, and you can get as creative as you want. And you can have all kinds of lighting cues that's all automated per song from beginning to end. So once you've done this and you've saved this, now every time you go to use this song, all your lights are already pre-programmed, and you can do this for each individual song. Okay, so that is kind of an intro, very basic, to how to use Light Key with Ableton. I know it's not an in-depth tutorial because I'm not skilled enough yet to provide that for you. I'm still working with this. Again, I'm showing all my followers this whole live stream setup as I'm kind of learning it. So please forgive me. Hopefully I didn't say anything that was inaccurate in this video. You can find tons of tutorials on Light Key on YouTube. You can check them out. If you comment below and you tell me you want me to show you how to use Light Key in more in depth as I get to use it and get to maybe program effects with lights where they strobe and blink and maybe flicker and all that stuff, all my lights can do that. Right now, I'm just programming basic color changes just to get used to what I'm doing here. But if you want to see more stuff on Light Key, let me know in the comments below. If you want to see more stuff on Ableton Live on what else it can do as I'm getting to learn it, as it pertains to running backing tracks for a band, let me know. I'm not going to start doing how do you record into Ableton. I have no desire to do that like a regular DAW. I'm a Studio One guy. But for playing tracks in a live performance situation, which is what I'm gearing myself to do here, that I can try to help you with. But I want you to comment below and let me know that, because if no one's interested, I'm not going to waste my time. Okay? So I hope you found this video somewhat helpful on how to use Light Key with Ableton, some of the possibilities. Again, I want to know what you do. Do you use backing tracks live with your band? And if you do, what do you use? What other tips do you have? What other questions do you have around this whole live stream setup and all these different videos and components to making a live stream happen in your studio and make it look professional? Let me know below, okay? I want to hear from you. Let me know. Also, make sure at the end of the video, you go out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com. I got a ton more training if this is your first time here, and I have 5 free training courses for you. So make sure that you go to homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Links will all be in the description box below. Get your 5 free courses. I want to help you. Mixing training courses. And until the next video, I've been Dave with homerecordingmadeeasy.com, and I will see you guys all soon. Take care.